It's the big news. It's the huge news in the biggest case in the world of true crime. I'm talking about the Idaho student case, and this is another ruling for the defense. Did you hear me? Another ruling for the defense in this case. I will give you complete and full analysis of this ruling, what it means, and there's actually two parts to this. Two important parts to this ruling by Judge. That's his name. The judge's last name is Judge, who's had some peculiar rulings to begin with in this case. This one continues that pattern. The one thing you know, I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome. Thank you for watching. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like button. Please share. Please follow. Spread the word here. The one thing that I've known over the years working at Court TV, we cover nothing but high-profile trials. High-profile trials in big cities and little towns. Okay, that's what we do. And every single case that we cover, maybe there's been an exception. There may have been one or two exceptions. But almost every single case we cover, the defense and the public, the attorneys, they'll say, how can the defendant get a fair trial? How could that possibly happen? There's no way the defendant can get a fair trial. We have to move the trial. We've got to go somewhere far, far away to get a fair trial. I've heard this so many times. I can hear the violins playing as soon as the defense attorneys open their mouths. The truth of the matter is, and I will say this over and over and over again, you can always get a fair and impartial jury. Wherever you are, whatever the case, it can be done. Doesn't matter how big or how small. You just need to find 12 and a couple alternates who can get inside of the courtroom and tell the judge, despite knowing something about this case, I can put that aside and base my verdict on the evidence presented inside the courtroom. Period. That's all you need. That's all. That's what the test is. And are you telling me in Latah County, Idaho, you can't find 12 people? Of course you can. Of course you can. But the big news you may have heard is the ruling by Judge that this case needs to be moved away. It's about a 20-page ruling. But let me read a part that I find fascinating about this ruling. And I've just got to locate it. Where did I put it? I have it here somewhere. Is this it? That's not it. Is this it? That's not it. Where did I get it from? Oh, here it is. Nope, that's not it. There we go. I got it. Okay. I am looking at the order right now. The accused killer's motion to change venue is granted pursuant to Idaho Criminal Rule 21A, 21B, consistent with the language of Rule 21C, 2B. This court orders a transfer of venue without specifying the new place of venue and refers the case to the administrative director of the courts for assignment by the Supreme Court to a court of proper venue in another judicial district and assignment of a specific judge to preside in the criminal proceeding. Are you listening and hearing what I'm hearing? in that part of what was said here? Where am I? The judge punted. The judge punted. Judge, boom, got rid of the case. That's what he did. Now, we've covered a lot of cases at Court TV in jurisdictions all around the country, including in Idaho with the Daybell case, where they had a change of venue and the judge and everybody went to Ada County and they tried the case. This judge is not going to try the case. This judge got rid of the case. Judge cleaned off his docket pretty quickly there. Kind of lame, but it's fine. I'm fine with it at this point. I'll tell you what, the families of the victims are really fine with it. But this wasn't just a change of venue. This is a change of judge case. The judge who's been overseeing everything in this case, all these motions, this is not an easy case to preside over. Number one, it's a D-pen case, right? The ultimate punishment, D-pen. The defense has been extremely aggressive. There have been lots of motions. There are lots of documents, lots of discovery, and lots of pretrial litigation to go in this case. And the easiest way for the judge to handle this was to get rid of the case. That's what really happened here. We could say change of venue till the cows come home, but this was really a judge getting rid of the case, because that's what he did. You read that, and he's giving it over to the administrator of the courts and the Supreme Court saying, listen, no, we're not going to be able to handle that here. The defense has proven that this is not a good jurisdiction. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So I am just going to, I can't handle it here. You guys figure out where it should be done. You guys are the smart ones. That's just the way the judge getting rid of the case. That's what this was. Like, let's be honest about it at least. The judge was always a little quirky. As I remember listening very closely to his reasoning behind keeping cameras out and then kind of putting them in, but not really putting them in. And this judge wanted to control what other people could say about what was happening in the courtroom. It was bizarro world. And my guess is that the heat was a little too much and he just wanted to get rid of the case. So he found a great way to get rid of the case. Oh, change of venue. I don't want to go somewhere else, though. I mean, not a change of venue for me. Let it be a change of venue for the victims' families. Let them go figure out how they're going to go see this trial. I'm not going to worry about it because I'm getting rid of the case. That's what happened here, folks. The judge got rid of the case. That's where we are. That's where we are today. Yeah, the headline is change of venue. To me, the headline is judge got rid of the case. And I'm not going to complain about it. Let me read this. I think this is the most important part. You got a statement from the Gonzalez family responding to all of this. And the victim's family says, the family is incredibly disappointed in the judge's ruling granting the change of venue. Next line speaks volumes. The only good thing about this decision is it will be judge's last decision in the case. The families always felt that judge favored the defense, and it was a common theme that whatever the defense wanted or needed, they got. The written decision is even more informative, and it gets into some more there. But let's start right there. Like, that's the we can say that they moved it out of there, but how can you determine that you can't get a jury until you try to get a jury? You following me? Like, how do you say I can't get a jury before you try to get a jury? Is that putting the cart before the horse before the cart, whatever, however that, I guess cart before the horse, because then the horse can't carry the cart if you put the cart before the horse. I used to, like I've all right, this is a high profile case. It's not the most high profile case in the history of cases. And in all these cases, you're able to get a jury if you want to, if you really want to. Jury selection process and the placement of jurors or the elimination of jurors for reasons that they can't be fair and impartial is 1000% controlled by the judge. The judge controls that. Now, the other thing that this judge could have done, if you wanted to keep the case, would have been to find a jury in another jurisdiction and brought them to Latah County. That's been done. Or this judge could have kept the case and just followed it wherever it went after trying to get a jury in Latah County and not being able to. And the defense did a good job because the defense was calling up and doing surveys of potential jurors who may or may not have been tainted, but through the process of interviewing them, we're tainting all of them. So it's like, it's absurd. It's a high profile case. High profile cases are, especially of this level, are never the amount of coverage is never limited to the judicial district. I mean, that's just silly. That is silly with a capital S. People all over Idaho know about this story. You know about this story. Are you from Idaho? Like, everybody knows something about this story. Some people may be following it a lot more closely than others. But wherever the trial is, and then the other thing that happens, once the trial gets moved somewhere else, the local news there talks about the trial. Like, it doesn't matter where it is. People are going to, and that's not the test. If I know something about the trial, I can still be a juror. I just have to put aside any preconceived notion I have about the case or anything that I think I know about the case and not consider that, just put it over to the side and base my judgment, my ruling, on the evidence that is heard inside the courtroom during the trial. And that's what jurors do. That's what they end up doing. I mean, we can go through this over and over and over again. And in cases that haven't been moved, where the juries come back guilty, sometimes they come back not guilty. It depends upon the evidence. It depends upon the testimony. It depends upon the lawyers. There's a lot of factors that go into a pretrial. Publicity alone in and of itself is not a reason to move a case. And you moved it without even trying to get a jury. Why? Well, we know why. Because you didn't want to try the case. This is a judge who doesn't want to judge. Judge didn't want to judge. Apparently, according to the order, unless he's going to step back in, but that order that he entered is a punt. It's football season, so I guess it's time to punt. They'll get a fair jury wherever they go. Jurors take their job seriously. I've seen cases where you had the most hated woman in the world found not guilty. You had O.J. Simpson found not guilty. You had George Zimmerman found not guilty. High-profile cases, people are found not guilty. High-profile cases, people are found guilty. Depends upon the evidence. Depends about the case. It's a strong case. Latah County can't handle this. All right, fine. They can't handle it. So it's moved. We don't even know where it's going. No idea where this trial's going. Zero. There's no guidance whatsoever. Most of these cases that I've seen, like, say, the hot cart case from Georgia years ago, they moved that case far away from where it happened. And the judge moved, the court personnel, everybody went on the road for a month. And they tried the case. In the Daybell case, they moved it from eastern Idaho all the way to Boise. And everybody went there, including the judge. But for whatever reason, Judge, I don't want this case. Fine. Let's get a new judge. Maybe a judge who will understand and appreciate the public nature of this case and the public nature of this trial, and permit full media coverage from start to finish so the public can see and hear the evidence. So the victims' families, who now, depending upon where this goes, may have to travel for a few months. Really? Or travel for part of the time, maybe continue working, but be able to watch the case, whether they watch it on Court TV, courttv.com, Court TV's YouTube channel, wherever they're going to watch it. The judge has now inconvenienced the family, not part of the equation and everything. It's about the defendant. Oh, I get it. But the problem is you didn't even try. Jenny Long, BK thinks that he's slick. I'm betting he's letting defense do legwork and research, then fire them, represent himself, and last minute switch from trial by jury to trial by the judge. I don't know what he's up to. He definitely thinks he's smart. I mean, that arrogance oozes. Just look at him, and it's oozing out of him. He thinks he's smarter than everyone, but he isn't. Clearly there was panic at the scene, which is how the knife sheath ended up where it ended up. Didn't have all his I's dotted and his T's crossed. And that's how he got caught. I'm going to take a look at a little more from the ruling. Where do I have it here? This is crazy. I've never heard this before. Latah County does not have enough court clerks to efficiently manage the jury selection process. It is anticipated that general qualification questions will need to be sent out to some 6,000 individuals. What? What is that? 6,000? We need to bring in a panel of 6,000 jurors for this case. Let me tell you a little story about a case that was just as high profile as this one in a much smaller jurisdiction down in the low country of South Carolina. The Murdoch trial. They picked the jury pretty fast there. You know why? You had a confident judge who knew how to ask questions. 6,000? We've got to bring in 6,000 and we just can't handle that? Come on. That's silly. That's silly, Your Honor. There's also an issue of continuing day-to-day operations at the Latah County Courthouse. The magistrate judge will continue to have daily hearings. A district judge will continue with the day-to-day operations of the district court, and the juvenile and CPS caseloads will have to continue. Additionally, the court's clerk office with its day-to-day operations of processing case filings, taking payments, and assisting the public. All these normal operations will undoubtedly be strained in terms of space and personnel. No. All of this, an excuse to get rid of the case. See, the judge took it like so many steps further. And by the way, as written by the Gonzalez family, the written decision is even more informative. If the judge knew Latah County could not handle this trial for safety reasons, not enough court clerks, logistics, lacking space. Why did we waste over a year in a county he knew was not going to handle the trial? He was hoping that they would wrap it up with a little plea. He was hoping for a plea. So he's hoping for. So Pamela McManus. So will that judge still be over the case? Doesn't look that way. I mean, from what he wrote and what he ordered, Judge punted, got himself off the case. Gonzo. Boom. Done. Over. Latah County and their clerks and their system and their building, they want nothing to do with this, and the judge ordered it. Now, can the judge be overturned, or could it be sent back? It was sent to the administrator, I guess the state administrator and the Supreme Court of Idaho to figure out where to send this thing. And there might be something in the Idaho court rules that permit the judge to do this. But I'm not fooled by any of this. I am not fooled by what is really going on here. My father was a judge. So I know a little bit about judges, got a little bit of insight into judges, plus practicing law inside courtrooms. You get a little insight into judges, plus covering the highest profile cases in the nation for over 2 decades. You get an idea about judges, what they can do, what they can't do, and what's really happening in a situation. That is the judge, just like, this is a headache. It's not making his life better. It's too, I don't want to have to judge, even though my name is Judge. I don't want to judge this case. Let me get rid of it. Let me figure out how to get rid of it so it can't come back. That's when you get into all the logistics about Latah County, that's about it not coming back. That's about him and his staff not going to another jurisdiction. That's what that's all about. Because that's what happened. Usually in a transfer venue, like in Idaho, in the Daybell case, they just took their people and they went to another part of the state for a few months. They get the space, but most of the support around it is transferred from that jurisdiction. So it's not a burden on another jurisdiction. This judge has now taken a case from his jurisdiction and burdened somebody else in the state with it. The only ones, I guess, who will travel will be the lawyers, the prosecutors and the defense team, public defenders and the prosecutors. Elser, judges relieved, you can go back to traffic tickets, I bet. Yeah, it's just easier. And you know what? Easier is easier. Easier is easier. Made his life a whole lot easier. But is that why you become a judge? For an easy life? Or do you do it like this is the biggest case you would ever have, that you would ever handle? And wouldn't you want to make sure it was done properly? But he's saying doing it properly means he can't do it. The Richard, I'm likely in the minority here, very happy that JJJ had his come to moment and jumped out to save his reputation. It wasted a lot of time. Like, part of his thing was, we can't handle this. We're not going to be able to handle this. We can't do this. Well, you can do it. It just takes a little extra effort, a little extra preparation, a little more thinking out of the box. But all those things like, if we're doing this trial, the people have to do other things. Well, don't you have trials in that courthouse? Whether you have one trial that lasts 3 months or 10 trials that take up 3 months, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same stress on the situation. Here, the big stress was finding a jury. Can we find a jury? I've seen cases where instead of doing the selection at the courthouse, because they have a small building, they'll go to like an auditorium. That's been done. They did crazy stuff during COVID where they're doing outdoor jury selection. Oh, I shouldn't have said that word. Anyhow, you know what I mean. You know, you could figure out a way to do it if you wanted to. But if you didn't want to, this is what you would do. You would enter this order, just cleaning your hands of the whole thing. All right, let me get back to more of the substance of it. Let's see. Okay. Unlike with actual prejudice, a finding of presumed prejudice means that the court need not consider juror screening questionnaires or testimony during voir dire before declaring a jury verdict void, or in this case, declaring a change of venue appropriate. So you don't even have to try. You can just throw in the towel ahead of time. That is so weak. So weak. Like part of our system, and this is why, there are times where maybe you can't, but our system is predicated upon the people of the jurisdiction hearing the case and determining it. Like it's set up that way because you want the people who live there in that jurisdiction to make the determination. That's like a jury of your peers. And what's really interesting when you look at the issues presented here is that most of the time when they change venue, judges will try to find a similar jurisdiction that is just different, right? So you look for like the same size, maybe similar demographics in some way. Like you wouldn't want to take, like generally speaking, judges wouldn't take like a case from a rural area and put it in the middle of a city. They did that in the Daybell. They did that in the Daybell case. So it's not unheard of. But generally you try to match it. So like, oh, we can't do it in this suburban county, but we found another suburban county on the other side of the state. So the question is here, apparently having some trouble on X today. Just got a pop-up note. So we're streaming on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube, but not on X. There's some problem with X today. Don't know what it is. Back to this. So you try to find a similar jurisdiction because it's like a jury of your peers. So you don't want like a completely different type of jury pool, right? So it's not like you can go jury pool shopping, which is what some defense attorneys like to do. You know what? This is a real pro law enforcement county, so I want to change a venue to some place where they're very skeptical of law enforcement. That's what it's not supposed to be. What it's supposed to be is you go from a place that is similar to where you are transferring it from. Now, I doubt that's going to happen here. They're probably going to send it to Ada County because you have the most people. Idaho is one of those states, But really what they should do is send it to another small rural county. That's what they should do. Because you're not supposed to transfer just to get like a better jury for the defendant, which is what they are obviously hoping for by getting it into Ada County or wherever they're going to end up. They just want a better jury pool, what they believe is a better jury pool. It has nothing to do with, we won't be able to find a jury here because you can. You didn't try, so you'll never know. Nuts. So yeah, it's a lot of times this ends up being like jurisdiction shopping by the defense. Michelle L. BK's brave now. But what about once the trial starts? Still seems like he thinks he's going to get out of it, like when he tried to get out of the ticket. Yeah, that is fascinating watching that little back and forth where he tries to explain things. I don't think he's getting out of this. I think the case is strong. Like that DNA on the sheath found where it's found, to me, is enormous. It's enormous. You can't explain it. And that's like the final piece. Like if you didn't have that piece and you just had this tracking stuff, then you start getting into, well, the DoorDash Uber Eats person, whoever that was, who were they? What were they doing there? How do you know it was him? You have no evidence. You can have a juror that said, well, there's no evidence that he was actually inside. Well, you've got, number one, the bushy eyebrows. Don't forget about those. But now you've got his DNA. The DNA puts him at the scene. So, and that's how he gets caught, right? So to me, it only takes one compelling piece of evidence to put you way over the top. And that's what I believe happened in this case. Because all the other pieces are great. The video, the surveillance, the cell phone, that's all great. That'll all be attacked in court. How are you going to attack the DNA? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Okay, Mika Carpenter. I'm usually in here, but I'm driving and I can't comment. Okay, we got you. Drive safely. Safety first. This program, safety first. Always. Always. Don't forget tonight, 8 to 10, I am live on Court TV. 8 to 9, closing arguments. We'll be talking about this. 9 to 10, Vinnie Politan investigates. We'll be talking about Professor Dan Markel, the victim of a for-hire plot by his ex-in-laws, including his ex-mother-in-law, Donna Adelson. That case just around the corner, by the way. We'll be talking about that tonight. Okay. I'm going to try not to fall too far behind in the comments today. Midwest. New motion regarding cameras in the courtroom. Ding! Of course. But first, we need a jurisdiction and we need a judge. And hopefully it's a judge who believes in transparency. Because let me tell you, the way the rulings have been going in this case, we're going to need transparency. We're going to need transparency. Transparency provides trust in the system. Transparency equals trust. Trust in the system. And here, I believe there are a lot of victims and family members and friends and students and others who've been impacted by this who are not going to be able to travel to the jurisdiction where this case will be, wherever it is, for 3 months and be able to see in person what they're entitled to see. So hopefully the new judge allows full media access so the public can see and hear everything that happens inside that courtroom. All right, we got some good comments here. Good comments. By the way, big thanks to our moderators, Gen X, Frankie Figs, Jennifer Sube, and of course, Melly. Ms. Lulu, they already said he's never stalked the victims. Don't have his car on video or picture. Well, my understanding, based upon the affidavits, is that he made several trips to that area prior to that night. Now, I don't know, stalking, what you want to call it, stalking, planning, plotting his mission. So he made trips to that area previously. They have phone data regarding that. Regarding the car, yeah, there are some parts where there is cell phone data that tracks the car. There are some parts where there's surveillance video of the car, and then there's a combination putting the two together where there's cell phone and video at the same time, which is extremely important in this case. But that is strong. But remember, the foundation of the entire case is the DNA of the defendant. Because trust me, ladies and gentlemen, if it wasn't there, if there was no DNA at the scene, that is the loudest and biggest argument the defense would make at trial. A thing like this and no DNA from this defendant, how do we know it was him? Blah, blah, blah. Well, there is, and we do. So that's a big problem for them. Now, the game for the defense, they're gonna be vigorous, and they're really good attorneys, and we're just hoping and trusting that the prosecutors are up to the task. I think they are, because this investigation was up to the task. See, the key to this investigation was the locals said, "Listen, this is a big deal. Come on in, state police, FBI, come, please help us. Help us. Join our team. We don't want to do this alone." Where you've had other jurisdictions, like in the John Bonet case, where they did not invite outsiders. And it was, to this day, a big, huge problem. I think Delphi had a problem like that too. Ken George. Hi, Mr. Politan. Love your shows. Been watching you for over 20-something years, from TV to Court TV to your podcast. God bless you, and thank you for a good job. Thank you, Ken. Great picture with the flags. Loving it. All right. Hugh, man, I believe I agree with you 10,000%. Every court should have a webcam that is just on by not only on, but streaming. There is right now, there is no reason why every courtroom outside of juvenile things, right? Every courtroom should be streamed live for the public, period. End of story. Should have started with the C, but should continue to today. The public should be able to watch and see justice being dispensed in their jurisdiction, from municipal court to magistrate court to trial court to appellate court to Supreme Court of every state. Obviously, the feds should do it. They won't, but every state should do that. They should. The technology is not expensive, and it's a good way to keep the public informed. Just like they put the the school board meetings or the town council meetings usually stream somewhere now. So should the other branch of government, the judicial branch. It's really a disgrace that it doesn't. I agree with you, human. It's all about transparency. So, Idaho, I think we learned in the Daybell case that the folks in Ada County will not be snookered. A strong case is that was a stronger case than this one. I would say that was a stronger case because of the nature of it. Like it was insanity, but it was very apparent what was going on there. Here, the DNA brings it close. And I don't think if you go to Ada County or any other county in Idaho or any county in this country, you have this type of evidence. It's going to be, unless there's something unforeseen that happens, something that blows up in the face of the prosecutor. This is huge. Now, the question is, if this goes to a new court and a new judge, is that going to change the trial of all of this? Because right now it's scheduled for next year. I think it was scheduled for June. But one judge does not tell another judge when you're going to try the case. New jurisdiction, new judge gets it. That judge will make the rules. So that's the other part of this that could change a lot here is the scheduling of all of this. Now, will there be renewed motions? I'm sure there'll be some renewed motions in front of a new judge by the defense. The only chance in this trial that the defense would have is if they could suppress the DNA. It's not happening, but that would be the only, if they could keep the DNA from getting in front of the jury through a decision by the court, by the judge. That's the only chance that he has. Now, the chance on the D-pen, well, that's going to depend. I don't know what the rest of his life is like. Low 12 saying hit the like. We got over 1,600 watching right now. Let's hit it. Hit it. McKenna asking the question. Everyone's asking, is it going to Boise? I would say there's a good chance of that, a really good chance, because obviously they're the largest. They've handled a high-profile case. They've got a history. They've got big buildings, big courtrooms. They have lots of people, much more densely populated. I just don't know if that's what's going to happen here. It's up to this judge put it in the hands of the Supreme Court to figure it out, what they want to do with it. And my guess is they'll look at it and say, yeah, let's just send it to Ada. Why not? What they may also do, which is what they did in the Scott Peterson trial, don't be shocked. You may not remember this about the Scott Peterson trial. They brought in a retired judge. They plucked the judge who was on retirement status, brought him back, paid him just for the trial. But that way, a judge was not taken away from the rest of his or her docket for months at a time. I think that might be the move here, where they will appoint a special judge and give him or her a special courtroom somewhere, likely in Boise because it's the biggest, and throw them in a big courtroom and use the jury pool from Ada County. I think that's very likely. Very likely. But in the Scott Peterson case, they transferred venue from Stanislaus County to San Mateo. I forgot the name of the county, but they transferred it to San Mateo. It was Redwood City. Redwood City? Maybe it's San Mateo County and it was Redwood City. I don't know. Anyhow, I know where it was. I just don't know the names of the towns because I was there. But that judge was from neither county. That judge was in retirement status and was brought back just to do that case. And they may do that here. There's a retired judge who maybe is a little bored and wouldn't mind handling a big case. Maybe it's someone with a lot of experience that could handle it. Christy Wolf, nope, that trial not happening in July 2025 now. Yeah, I think it gets delayed more, which is the other part of this. It gets delayed. Like you could have tried to do it where you are, but you didn't try. So it's frustrating. It's very frustrating for the family. It's very frustrating for the family. I always, anytime I have an opportunity to speak to family members at the beginning, after the arrest or whatever, I try to make sure and tell them, listen, this is going to be a long road. Some of them have attorneys with them. Like I know the families here have a great attorney who is walking them through the process and helping them understand everything and, keeping their expectations where they should be in terms of when this is going to happen. And it's got to be very confusing for the public because you look at a case like the case involving Officer Chauvin, former Officer Chauvin, the Floyd case. That went from incident to conviction in less than a year. And people look at that and like, why can't we do that all the time? Well, you can't for all the cases. But it teaches you that when the wheels want to spin a little faster, they can, when you want them to. This is definitely in slowdown mode. The defense wants to slow, and the defense is the one who can slow it down the most, but the judge always controls everything. That's what everyone has to understand. How much the judge controls jury selection, the pace of the trial, the scheduling of the trial, everything. Like you can take the same case, put it in front of two different judges. One will be ready, it'll go to trial in less than 2 years. Another, you could be 4 years. You can put it in front of one judge, you could take 3 months. Another judge, it could take a month. Jury selection can take a day or could take 3 weeks. It depends upon how the judge does it. The judge is in charge. While the judge does not render the verdict in a jury trial, the judge controls just about everything else that's happening in that courtroom. Candace, NP, I thought the judge was not up to the task. And actually, it seems and appears the judge agrees with you. Oh, Kelly Louise. Hey, Vinny, sorry, a bit late. Well, a lot late. I'll catch up later. No, we'll catch you up right now, Kelly. Let's do it right now. We can catch you up right now. It's not a big deal. It's not a lot. Number one, the judge from the Idaho case granted the change of venue, meaning it's not going to be heard in Latah County. It's going to another county, but the judge in his order said some county to be determined, and to be determined not by me, but by the administrator and the Supreme Court of Idaho, because I, Judge, am no longer on the case. And in the ruling, they cited all the reasons why you can get rid of a case. You can say it's impossible to pick a jury without even trying. And then the judge talked about all the reasons why Latah County just couldn't handle a case like this logistically. So it's gone. The family not happy. They're happy the judge is gone, but they're not happy that the change of venue has been granted. And we think the bottom line to this is probably ends up in Boise. Probably doesn't get heard in June of 2025 like it's scheduled for. And it's just going to be a slower churning of justice for the victims' families. That's what it's going to be. Because I think at the end of the day, we end up in the same place no matter what. I think we're going to end up in the same place. It's just going to take a lot longer. Difficult. So that's where we are. Let's see. Sassy Southern Witch. Does the new county incur the expenses or does the original county pay? Well, you got the same prosecutor. So Latah County prosecutors are the Latah County prosecutors. The public defenders are the public defenders. So they get paid and their expenses get paid through Latah County. It'll be interesting to see what agreement there is between Latah County and wherever this ends up with the new jurisdiction. I don't know. I'll tell you what, if I was the Supreme Court, I'd say, okay, Latah County, you don't want this, judge? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to hire a retired judge and Latah County is going to pay for the judge. We're going to send you to another courthouse, but you're going to have to pay for all of the extra surplus personnel and logistics that are needed. They may do that because this is a punt. This is one county taking their big problem and just getting rid of it. And we'll see how all that turns out. And the money probably has something to do with it as well, Sassy. You're right on top of it. So sassy. The poor parents, Laura Wagner, the poor parents. Yeah, it continues. Tony, the family's been through a lot and need closure, in my opinion. Well, I agree, but not 100%, Tony. I don't like that C word. I don't like the word closure. I'll tell you why. it never ends for them. I think the way I like to term it is, rather than closure, it's a turning of the page. It's the end of a chapter, right? And this is the page of justice. Okay, we've gotten justice, which is all we can get at this point because these four beautiful people are not coming back. All we can get is justice. So we've gotten justice and we've turned the page. Maybe they get closure on this legal mumbo jumbo, but not true closure, which is, I wish they could get that, but they never do. They never do. Dr. Martina, he'll be convicted on the moon or Jupiter. He's covering all the bases. How about some of the stars that he was looking at that night as well? Probably the stars as well. Gen X to the 7th. There's no rhyme or reason to the new filtering. I have yet to figure it all out, but good to know that. Thanks. Apparently, got some filtering going on in the chat. There may be something new from YouTube. Who knows? But Gen X is on top of it, as always. Pamela McManus, is the D-pen allowed in Idaho? Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, Truth Seeker Human has a good new book out by Gary Brucato. Well, not new book, but an interesting book. The new evil. Check it out, Dr. Gary. Sweetie Brookahire, the buck starts with the judge and ends with the judge. Absolutely. Absolutely. Judge's got to step up. Okay, let's take a look at DeBear. The DNA was placed there. The whole thing is set up. Frat boys. Okay, DeBear. Okay. Where'd they get his DNA? Why did they choose him? Did they know that he was going to be driving around that night? Did they know that he would be driving by himself that night? Because he's told us that already. His notice of alibi. His alibi is, I couldn't have done it because I was alone by myself driving around that night, all night long. So that would have been really genius by the frat boys to somehow extract his DNA and his bushy eyebrows. Don't forget about the bushy eyebrows, folks, because there is an eyewitness who sees the suspect covered like this. But you could see those bushy eyebrows. Let me see if we can find his bushy eyebrows. Those are some bushy eyebrows, man. I think that's the only. There they are. More of the bushy eyebrows. Yeah. Big bushy eyebrows. Look at that. It looks like he's got gas. Miss Oden, Vinny, did they ever find a forever enter? If not, how did he get in? Well, whoever did it got in, right? So whether it's him or someone else, they got in and they got out. My guess is the sliding door was not locked. I mean, Moscow, Idaho is the kind of place where you don't like click, lock everything up. There's other places where you would. Like, I'm trying to remember back to college. Think about back to college. Like, did you lock the doors in college? Maybe the door to your dorm was locked, or maybe it was. I don't even think ours was, to be honest with you. I don't think there was a key to get in. There probably is now. My guess is just unlocked. Number one, you're college kids, you're up and you're out all night, and there's no reason you shouldn't have to think this would happen. Like, it could happen. Like, it could happen anywhere. I get it. But that's not what was on their mind, especially where they were. I mean, one of the families said they specifically chose this school because of safety. There are other campuses where there are a lot of problems. Look around. There are a lot of problems, especially with female students being attacked. This area was not one of them necessarily. This wasn't a campus like that. One of the reasons it was chosen. Yeah. So I don't know because we don't have all of the evidence. We have what was in the probable cause affidavit, etc. The university doesn't want the media circus there. There's another point of contention I have. Thank you, Gen X. I have to defend the media. When this was an unsolved case, and when this first happened, I specifically remember it was happening on social media and other places where people were like, why isn't anyone covering this? Why isn't anyone talking about this? Because the first couple of days of this were kind of below the radar. There was another case involving other students on the other side of the country that got a little more play, like because it happened the same day. It took a couple of days for this to really filter through, and cross over into like general knowledge about how horrific it was and the fact that there was someone on the loose, right? And the fear and everything else that comes along with that. So I remember that. I specifically remember, and it was coming from the university. Why is no one talking about this? Why aren't you covering this? And then we did. And then we publicized it. And we followed every development as it happened, posting the images of the car, getting the word out, doing anything and everything possible to keep a spotlight on this because there was someone on the loose. So then what you want is for the media to come in and cover a story when you want the story covered, and then to help publicize information relative to the suspect so the suspect gets apprehended. And then once that happens, get out of here. Get out of here. You're evil, media. See, I don't buy that. So I've seen it before. This wouldn't be the first place that something like that has happened, especially on college campuses. There's a history of that. They like to point the finger like the people covering the evil are the evil as opposed to the actual evil. So, did you see the Gonzalez family statement, Vinny? Yeah. I started reading part of it during the stream here. Got it right in front of me. We're going to go through it tonight on the program. 8 o'clock Court TV. We'll be talking about this. Also have a little update on what happened in Georgia at Appalachian High School. And then 9 o'clock, Donna Adelson and the plot against her ex-son-in-law, Professor Dan Markel. Julianne, maybe it's for the better for justice, the fact that he punted. Hey, might be. Might be. Okay. Blossom Light, you think BK faced the deep end if found guilty? Oh, not only face it, but I believe we'll get it. I don't know what good he has done in his life. I don't know if there's any reason to feel sorry for him. To me, the way I see the evidence right now, and things could change based upon what's said in the courtroom, right? Because they've been pretty closed on this one. But like, this is the most dangerous of all people, who is doing it just for the sake of doing it. There's no motivating passion behind it. You know what I mean? Sometimes someone goes in, they want to commit, a bank robbery, and then something happens. Okay, I get it. You didn't go in there intending the outcome, but the outcome was very foreseeable. Heat of passion, someone driven by whatever. This is driven by nothing other than the evil for the outcome. And to me, that's a huge qualifier for the deep end, in my mind. In my mind. Sally Vella, the judge could find 12 honest people and 40,000. Of course you can. Of course you can. You could. I mean, depending upon how you did jury selection, you could have a panel of 250 and find 12. You could. I mean, smaller jurisdictions, you have more people that might know someone, but these are all college students. So I don't think people are going to know the college students. He works in another state. I don't think people are going to know him. So you might have some people who, friends with one of the investigators or friends with one of the witnesses. I get it. But depending upon how you proceed with the jury selection as a judge, you could get out of 40,000. And you didn't need to create a pool of 6,000. That's just ridiculous. Gringa, what do you think of BK's defense attorney? She's doing a great job. Yeah, she's winning. She's winning. She's smart. She's thorough. She's aggressive. So, and hey, in a case like this, you should want that. You should want that. A prosecutor should want that. You've got the evidence. You've got the goods. You can prove your case. You want a good defense attorney over there because you don't want that attorney creating a reason why this case would be overturned. So you want to go up against the good one. Mm-hmm. Mm. McSpunky's here. Question is, does he have a note? Do you have a note to be late? Late but ever present. McSpunky in the house. Interesting conversation taking place inside the chat room right now. A lot of passion. Please tell me what women see in him. His fan club is ridiculous. He's got a fan club. I did not realize that. That's insanity, Callie. Oh, Maria Pia, good one. I say I said in this picture, he looks like he's got gas. But Maria says they should give him gas. Nice. Nice. Lolo, I'm thinking his attorney has his eyebrows waxed. or at a minimum, you get them trimmed. Like you're entitled to get, I think, haircuts behind bars. Do they ask him if he wants his eyebrows done? They do have pictures of him that they can use. This is... Melly reminding everyone, watch Closing Arguments, weeknights at 8, VPI, weeknights at 9. Thank you, Melly. Sana, crazy. Why did he not plead guilty or innocent in the beginning if he didn't have anything to do with it? Love from Sweden. Well, basically, Asana, the way things work here in the United States, a lot of cases are resolved by someone pleading guilty, but it's usually through a plea bargain where a prosecutor will offer a lesser sentence or a lesser charge in exchange for the defendant admitting his or her guilt. A defendant can always just go in and plead guilty without a deal, but if they do so, they then risk getting the maximum penalty allowed. It is then in the discretion of the judge. In a case like this with the D-pen, that's like a separate mini trial. So the Parkland shooter down in Florida pleaded guilty to the charges, but then went to trial for the penalty phase where the jury had to decide life or not life, meaning death for the defendant. This defendant can do that. This defendant can admit his guilt and then have the trial just be about whether or not he gets the D-pen. However, I think we know this guy as well as we can. He's going to fight this, and he's never going to admit it. So I think that's where we are on this. Thank you, Sana, from Sweden. Truth-seeking human. Truth-seeker human. Vinny said his dad was a judge. Vinny, do you have a plan to be a judge someday? Wondering. No. I think the only judgeship I would take would be a TV judge. That's it. Not going on the real bench. Where I live, you have to run for it. So I'm not running for any office. Federal, you have to be appointed. It's all a political process. Carrie, Donna Adelson, the mother-in-law from HE Double Hockey Sticks. You got it. All right. I got to wrap things up. I got to get ready for the big show tonight. Gringa, at least one ground for appeal is eliminated. Yeah, one ground of appeal, but it's rare that a case is overturned because you didn't change venue, because not changing venue means you have a jury selection process in the venue where the case is tried. And the judge, and in most jurisdictions, the prosecution and defense get to voir dire the potential jurors. They get to question them, bring out any opinions or reasons that they have. The defense and prosecution can use their peremptory strikes to get rid of people, and then the judge can eliminate those who the judge believes cannot be fair and impartial, get rid of them for cause. but the judge can also say, one side can say, we need to eliminate this juror for cause because of X, Y, and Z, and the judge can disagree and say, no, that wasn't a reason. This person can be fair and impartial. And trust me, every judge gets every potential juror to agree to, yes, I can be fair and impartial. Despite what I know, I can still be fair and impartial. And if they answer that yes, it's very difficult to overturn it based upon a venue issue. So it is eliminated, but they'll still do it. Like wherever it gets moved to, they're going to ask to move again, likely. Lisa White-Hour, Judge Belvin Perry, the Honorable. He's a Florida judge. He's a Florida judge, not an Idaho judge. Has to be a judge from Idaho. But he would be great. Like if it was a Florida case and it was like a big one and they wanted to bring someone, that would be perfect choice. We can get I just saw Ashley Bouchard. Everyone knows I'm type 1 diabetic, right? So where do I have it? This will be clear on the phone. We need a blood sugar check. All right. Based upon my performance right now, why don't we take some guesses on what you believe my blood sugar is? For those of you not familiar with blood sugar, for a normal person like you, not an abnormal person like me, 90 is like normal. For a diabetic, between 80 and 140 is the normal range. Below 80, you start to get a little lightheaded and you can't put your thoughts together. Once you get above 180, you might get a little stomach ache. You get a little lethargic. You might be a little slow. You get into 200, it's worse. If you're above 200, you're feeling awful. So what do you think my blood sugar is? Put the guesses down, and then I will reveal. Let's get a few guesses. I got an 87 from Kel, 80 from Hello, 78. We got a 115 from Imelda. We got a 119 from a 64. As soon as I find one that is correct, I will post that person's name. Oh, Wholeness, you did an A1C. We're looking for a current blood sugar, not an A1C. All right, Eileen has me a little high at 170. Melly is our winner. 118. Melly gets it right. Did anyone else have 118? I'm just trying to see if anyone else had 118. I don't think I missed it. Melly is the big winner today. Oh, wait. Oh, Melly guessed it twice. That's pretty good. I missed the first one. Thank you, everyone, for playing the blood sugar game. Melly wins the prize. We don't have a prize, but maybe that should be a thing. We could make that a thing someday. Yeah, we had some high ones. Meatballs and Mayhem had me at 110. Veronique was pretty close. I saw 119. Somebody had me at 119. Yeah, Keely had me at 119. That's close. You know, it might be 119 soon because, you know, changes every 10 minutes. It gets a little different. Right now, I'm on the downward slope, so the next one will probably be a little lower. But thank you, everyone, for playing. All right, so I just want to remind you. Oh, wait, I got to do. Wait, did I miss one? What did I miss here? Thank you, Becca 19611 with a super sticker. A super sticker. All right. Thank you to our super chatters. Thank you to our moderators. And thank you, everyone, for your great comments, great discussion. Oh, my goodness. Mad About Maya had a grandpa with a 700. Wow. Hopefully grandpa's okay. That's a little rough. All right. That's it for this one. 8 o'clock tonight, Court TV. We'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about the Appalachia High School in Georgia. Then at 9 o'clock, Vinnie Politan Investigates. We're going to talk about Donna Adelson. 2 hours, true crime, live, unscripted on Court TV every single night. The only guy on television doing it, folks. The only guy on television doing it every night. 10 hours a week. Plus, I'm streaming with you. So thanks so much. I will see you tonight at 8 o'clock. Have a great night. And as always, folks, please don't forget to hug the kids.